Hello, I'm on a book tour and I'm filming this in my hotel room and I want to do another reaction video, and I just wanted to say thank you for those watching my reaction videos about creativity, about writing. Can you see that there's a real fire? First time I've ever had a fire working in a hotel room. New reaction videos coming. I don't want it just to be around novel writing, but all kinds of creativity and storytelling, all forms of storytelling. Script writing, movies, books. I hope you enjoy them. I hope you will enjoy this. I'm going to try and film it close to the fire. Let me see if I can show you the fire. Can you see that? That's a real fire. It's a gas fire. But hello from Book Tour, and I hope you enjoy the video.
Does a trilogy start life as a trilogy?
That's a very good question. Actually, no. I thought that the first book in the trilogy, Mr. Mercedes, would be the only book. And I kind of didn't want to let the characters go, the main characters. So I had an idea for another book and realized while I was working on that I had unfinished business from the first book. So it had a nice round.
It is very cool that even for someone like Stephen King, the stories, they have a life of their own. And they can sometimes develop and continue after you've put your pen down or closed your laptop. And I like that we're not completely in control of them.
Quality, the three of them.
So you did not know where you were heading, right? I mean, did you know, even when you start a character in the first book, Mr. Mercedes, did you know where that was going?
No, I did not.
What is this the rule with you? You don't know where?
As I said, this is very this is not everybody. All writers are completely different. Everyone has their own method, whether you're a pantser or a plotter or somewhere in between, and that often evolves and changes over time, often as you get more confidence. But the way he doesn't know much at all about a story is quite extreme. It's quite extreme. And I want to say that it's not like, if you can't do this, don't feel bad. If you feel like you need some supporting structure, some scaffolding, some plot in order to have the confidence to begin, then I think that's absolutely fine. There's no rules. That's the beautiful thing. If you're putting a piece of furniture together, or you're curling in the Olympics, in the Winter Olympics, there are rules. There are no rules with writing.
You don't know?
I very rarely, sometimes I have an idea of how the book will finish up, but it very rarely finishes up the way that I think it's gonna. You have to go where the book leads you.
Yeah. And what about a character?
You know, there's a novelist called Thomas Williams who's passed on now, and he said that the idea for a novel is like a little tiny fire in a dark night, and one by one the characters come and stand around it and warm their hands. And I've always thought that's the perfect metaphor for how it works.
I absolutely love that. I've never heard that before. I absolutely love that. So I'm in a hotel room, hence the weird backdrop. There's an actual real fire back there. I'm on a book tour. You're out in the darkness and there's a campfire. And one by one, people start to emerge from the darkness and warm themselves up. And you see their faces vaguely in the light. That's beautiful. That is fantastic. And it is very much how it feels. Wow. I love that. And then eventually you're all there together around the fire. And you know how that feels. That's very special. That's a very special kind of bond, of feeling of safety and security and togetherness. Wow, love that.
Come around together and warm their
hands.
They
stand around the fire, and little by little the fire grows and you see them more clearly, and that's the novel.
And the story grows.
Yeah.
You wrote a very lovely book that I read years ago on.
See, I've been reading for my whole life. I've been writing for many years, and I've been watching things like this by Stephen King and others for many years, and I've never heard this. So that's what shows me that it's still worth always being open to reading about, watching, taking in stories about storytelling, because you're always learning something. I mean, here I'm learning something from Stephen King, talking about another author who's passed on, and I find it beautiful, and I'm probably going to talk about it at the event I'm doing tonight.
Writing about your own life and the craft of writing, and you wrote in there, the writer's original perception of a character or characters may be as erroneous as the reader's.
Right.
So this is this sense of what you're talking about.
It is. Here's an example of that. There's a character in Mr. Mercedes, the first book of the Hodges trilogy, a woman named Holly Gibney. And as far as I was concerned, she was just going to be a walk-on character. She's going to come on, she's going to be a little bit neurotic, and there's going to be some discussion with her.
There's another lecture Stephen King gives about Holly and how one of the first impressions he had of her was how she was quite anxious, and she was like messing with some tissue paper between her fingers and pulling it apart. And that was kind of the visual that she got, that he had. That was the sensation, that she was someone who's constantly kind of fiddling and pulling, tearing paper apart, which I thought was a really good, strong foundation for that character.
Then she was going to disappear from view, you know, a minor character. And instead she came in and took over the whole book. And I let her because that's what needed to happen. The worst thing you can try to do is to steer the story once it gets going. You just kind of follow along and see where it goes. That's the fun.
That's the fun of it.
That's the fun of it, yeah.
And it still is fun for you.
It has to be fun. It has to be fun. My new book, Adrift, the one I'm on tour with now, originally it had one character, one main character, one point of view character. And now it has two, and it's told from two different perspectives. I never planned that. It just happened as it went along. I wanted to, like, I was just inside the head of another person. I needed to share that. So that sensation of going with it, going with the natural flow, not fighting against it, can be difficult to do, but it's the best way.
I go where the story leads, and sometimes it is a little bit outrageous, and I relish that. I sort of want to be as...
I love that he gets a buzz out of his writing still. I adore that. I get the same when I'm writing a first draft. Not when I'm rewriting and editing. I never get a buzz then. That's just difficult, and it feels like a job. But the first draft, I get such a kick out of it, and that's okay. You know, some people are tortured and they find first drafts extremely difficult. That's their experience. My experience is I get a massive kick out of the creativity of the whole thing, as scary as it is.
Much on the edge as I can. And I want to engage the reader. I'm an emotional writer in the sense that I'd be happy if you reread a book for the intellectual or the mental part of it, but the first time I just like to reach out and grab you, pull you in.
You know, another thing that struck me, again, going back to the book on writing, you say, let's get one thing clear right now, shall we? There is no idea dump, no central story, no island of buried bestsellers, which is to say that stories almost come from just out there, right? And your job is to what? Find them?
I often feel like they're in the wind, they're in the ether, and most people can't ever sense them, they can't see them, they can't smell them, they can't. But if you're available to it, then you'll pick them out of the air. And they might be bad ideas, or they might have no legs, or they might be the wrong idea for you right now, but they're still ideas, they're flowing all the time. You just need to be open to it, to be able to pick it out of the ether.
I don't think that you find them exactly. I think that what you do is you keep your sensors open, and it's the more that you do the job, the more you come to understand in a kind of intuitive way that you're always, you know, your radar is on and the thing is going around and around and around, and it's not...
And it does get easier to identify, like, this one has potential, this one is big enough to justify a novel, or this one might be a short story. That becomes easier over time. That's one thing that experience does help with, is, you know, okay, I've got it, I've got next year's book, I've got the book that's going to come out in 5 years. That's a wonderful feeling. We're like, I've got it, I've got the book, now I need to do all the work, hundreds of hours of work, thousands of hours of work, but knowing you have the idea is electric.
Picking up any blips, and then something will happen and it will click, and you'll say, this is an idea for a story. And for me, I'm usually working on something, so that's kind of got to go to the end of the line. And the best thing about that is that the bad ideas kind of...
Often these ideas come when you don't really want them to come, when you're deep in edits of another book, or you're finishing off the last like the act three of your first draft, and then another idea will come and you'll get obsessed with it, and you have to kind of write it down, keep it in one part of your brain in a little compartment over here while this part of your brain focuses on the new book. That is hard to do, and that takes some juggling mentally, and you need to carve out a lot of mental space so that you have the ability to handle both of them while kind of ignoring one of them.
Just drop out of the mix. You forget about them. The good ones stick around. So
So does that mean that writing can be taught, can be learned?
it can be learned, but I'm not sure it can be taught. It's a self-taught kind of thing. I think the best writers are voracious readers who pick up the cadences and the feel of narration through a number of different books, and you begin by maybe copying.
Agree with this. I think you need to have something, some empathy, some storytelling, not gene, but some storytelling core in you, and then you need to be a massive reader, and then you need to put the effort in to write. And it's not for everybody. It's so hard if you don't have that emotional resonance and that bond with your readers.
The style of writers that really knocked you out. I mean, as a teenager, I read a lot of H.P. Lovecraft, so I wrote like H.P. Lovecraft. And in my 20s, I read a lot of Ross MacDonald and Raymond Chandler, so I wrote like those guys. But little by little, you develop your own.
For me, that was Cormac McCarthy, it was Sarah Waters, it was Irvine Welsh, it was Patricia Highsmith, it was Shirley Jackson, and it was Muriel Spark.
You describe in the On Writing book about learning the discipline, even the place where you want to write, things like that.
Yeah, there's a kind of self-hypnosis involved with it too. If you start at the same time every day, most writers have little routines they go through. I like to always stop with a couple of pages that that are just raw copy, where I haven't touched it, I haven't tried to revise it, I haven't tried to polish it. It's like.
That's interesting. I never touch anything. I just go straight forward, scene by scene, never look back, never edit my work until the whole first draft is out. Otherwise, I always feel like I'll have a crisis of confidence and it will come crashing down on me. That self-hypnosis idea, I have sliding doors in my writing room, so I slide them closed. And that, for me, is like I'm shutting out the world. I'm going into my own head. And I have a very basic laptop. I like to keep things simple. I put earplugs in, shut out the noise. But it doesn't really matter what you do. I can do that anywhere because I use earplugs and I'm just focusing on my screen. Self-hypnosis, like getting yourself into a little routine so that you it's not a brain thing, it's more of a gut thing, it's more of a central nervous system thing. You're ready to be open, you're ready to tell some stories.
Having a little bit of a runway, the next day when you sit down, you have the comfort of saying, well, I've got a little bit here. Used to be in the typewriter. Now it's in the magic box, the computer.
I see. So it's not an empty.
What I always have is on the side of my laptop, I have some printer paper, loose printer paper, and I always write down like 4 things that are going to happen in the next scene. And it can be a little snippet of dialogue, it can be a piece of weather, it can be a plot point, it can be a mood, it can be a name. It's just something to give me that like, that's where I get going. I have that. Again, it's a confidence thing. I know, okay, I can do this. I can manage.
Slate as you start the next day.
Cold start is a hard start.
So let me ask you one more thing. Can you imagine stopping writing, not writing?
Well, when people say, what scares you? Because I've written a lot of horror novels.
You've written some scary novels.
Yeah, I say what really scares me is Alzheimer's or premature senility, losing that ability to read and enjoy and to write. And, you do it, and some days maybe aren't so good, and then some days you really catch a wave, and it's as good as it ever was. So,
catch a wave. That's a good description of how it feels. Some days you don't catch a wave, and you still need to put the work in, and get out there, and get wet, and get cold. And some days you catch a wave. That's a good feeling.
It's tough to imagine giving it up.
Stephen King, thank you very much.
Thank you. Pleasure.
That was very cool. I also feel like I'll never give it up. I think I think I'll be writing until I'm 90. Maybe I won't be doing book tours like this one, but I'll be writing. I just love it. Most of it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Thank you for watching, and I'll be back soon. Thank you.